Hi, I'm Karen Willey with Around the Bend Nature Tours, and I want to talk to you about cultivating the next generation of environmental leaders. So, who is Around the Bend Nature Tours? Our mission is to give a sense of Florida as home by telling the stories of the land and teaching the science of sustainability. So we have been doing this for 19 years. We're a sole proprietor LLC, woman-owned business. But in that time, we have provided 2,100 field trips to 87,000 students in Manatee and Sarasota County, with a lot of help from a lot of partners. So in doing that, we also work with the Sarasota Bay Estuary Program very closely to provide, we've provided 53 Bay Guardians events. Now these guys are oyster bagging, but they're not doing lunges. These are the longer trips. So we do oyster bagging, we do exotic plant removal, we do coastal cleanups, and native plantings. And this year we've included with Wayne Adventures the kayak element. So also, since 2009, we've impacted about 600 adults out at Duet Preserve, thanks to the Manatee Fish and Game Association. And so Around the Bend Nature Tours is 12 professional guides, everything from an archaeologist to a marine biologist and all kinds of naturalists. They're all contract employees. We facilitate learning in our local environment so that students become aware of the world around them in a way that is meaningful to them. Some of our guides have been with us for 19 years, and some of them just started. We have a couple of new college students on staff as well. Around the Bend Nature Tours takes our programs into preschools. It's hard to get them out, so we bring it to them. Elementary, this is one of our biggest groups because they can get out. We've got a grant last year to do service learning. So the last 2 years, we took about 20 middle school groups out in the last 2 years, but it's really hard to get them out. And it's even harder for high school. But fully funded trips help the high school teachers to convince their peers that students need to get out to learn. So speaking of getting outside, we are teaching the second generation that did not grow up outdoors. Have you ever thought about that? So the parents in this photograph didn't build tree houses. They were indoors with their PlayStations. So we have a lot of barriers. These two photographs were taken from real estate ads on the internet. Now, do you recognize those trees? They are non-native palms. So people don't know and they don't care about natives. Did you know that the Florida scrub jay is endemic to Florida, found nowhere else on Earth? Nowhere else on Earth but the Central Florida scrub. I'm going to take you on a quick tour through the seasons. This is last week in my yard I took those 3 bird pictures. In April we get this awesome migration. Summer brings cumulus clouds and afternoon storms. It's so hot the only place to be is in the grass flats beyond the mangroves. Cabbage palms that are not trimmed reflect on the water with spherical shapes that spell Florida. And the fall wildflowers. Our fall colors are more spectacular than any deciduous forest. If you haven't been out to the prairie at Mayaca or Manatee River State Park in October, you are not a true Floridian. The subtle tones of winter hide the prolific life that is ready to burst forth in February. You know, that pine pollen on our cars. And the wetlands. To date, Florida has lost over 50% of her wetlands. 1 acre of wetland can hold 1.5 million gallons of floodwaters. And did you know that when a hurricane crosses 2.78 miles of wetlands on the other side, the storm surge is reduced by 1 foot? Wetlands filter 90% of our most common pollutants, and they store 40% of the world's carbon. They are the answer to climate change, and we desperately need to protect any wetlands that remain. So how are we going to do that? We're going to educate the next generation. Like these Girl Scouts on a Bay Guardians event, and these kids at Celery Fields and Emerson Point learning the Florida story. So think about this. In 10 years, my third graders are going to be voting. And in 5 years, my eighth graders are going to be voting. So please, donate to these organizations because they help to make it possible. Thank you.